And 17 is avoiding illogical sentences. So sentences in which the reasoning does not make sense. So when you're constructing sentences, it's really super important that they make sense logically. So that means that you need to use transitions correctly, and you need to use your conjunctions correctly. And then you also need to make sure that you're making logical comparisons and logically that they link logically to your subject and your verb. Okay, this will make a little more sense in just a minute. So the first thing is when you're using a coordinating conjunction, so when you're using one of your fanboys, make sure that you're using it properly, not in an illogical manner. So illogically would be the real power in the company lies with Mr. Costanza, and he currently owns 55% of the stock. Okay, that does not make sense. And would signal like joining something, right? That's not joining something, you're telling them why. So because of that, we need to pick a different conjunction altogether. So in this case, the best conjunction would actually be a subordinating conjunction, which would be the real power in the company with Mr. Costanza lies with Mr. Costanza because he currently owns 55% of the stock. Okay, so that's one thing. Make sure that you're using the right kind of conjunction. Second thing is make sure that you're using a logical transitional word or a subordinating conjunction. So kind of with the same thing as before, but making sure that it makes sense. So let's look at an example. Because in order to fix the television, we need to hire a repairman. Okay, that just sounds terrible. You wouldn't say that. You would say, in order to fix the television, we need to hire a repairman. Okay, let's look at an example with a misused transition. Bobby's automotive service was the only car replaced in town. However, he did great business. What? No. Bobby's automotive service was the only car replaced in town. Therefore, he did great business, because you're talking about the reason why, right? Like what caused that. So that one's not going to work. Okay. These new technologies provide a student with the chance to access a huge amount of information. For example, they also present a student with many distractions. What? No. We're not giving an example here. We're talking about like an opposite, right? So what would a good transition be for an opposite? However, comma, they also present a student with many distractions. Now let's try another one. These type of reading experiences are helpful, although they help students develop comprehension strategies. What? No. These type of reading experiences are helpful because, right? Although would signal an opposite. We're not looking for an opposite. Okay, so make sure your conjunctions are correct. Make sure your transitions are correct. Okay, the other thing is make sure that when you're comparing things, that things are equal. So you've probably heard the saying comparing apples to apples. Okay, so make sure the two things that you're comparing are equal. So let's look at an example. Her salary was lower than a teacher. Okay, we're comparing her salary to the teacher? No, that does not work. Her salary was lower than a teacher's. Okay, her salary was lower than a teacher's. I would have actually finished this off. I mean, salary is implied, but I would say her salary was lower than a teacher's salary. That makes it a little bit clearer. Okay, let's look at another incorrect example. The museums in New York are as impressive as any other city. Okay, so we're talking about the museums in New York, and then we're comparing them to any other city. No, that does not work. The museums in New York are impressive as those in any other city. So we're comparing museums to museums. Okay, next rule. Make sure that your subject and verb fit together logically. Okay, so let's look at some examples. According to researchers, the ages of 20 to 30 are subject to the most stress. Okay, are we talking about the ages being subject to stress? No, we're talking about the people of those ages, so we need to clarify that. According to the one source, 20 to 30-year-olds are the subject to most peer pressure. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Let's look at another example. The low cost of internet classes may soon replace teacher-led courses. Okay, the low cost is not what's replacing them, it's the internet classes. So let's revise that. Low-cost internet classes may soon replace teacher-led courses. I certainly hope that. All right, and that's it for Unit 17.